This is the Seven Figure Standard Podcast, hosted by Arash Vasugi and Mikey Stiller, with mindset and strategies to help you break through and create personal freedom.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Seven Figure Standard Podcast. I'm Mikey Stiller, joined by my co-host, Arash Vasugi, and today we're going to be talking about an empowering topic, and that is responsibility. This may not be everybody's favorite topic, but it's actually come to be one of my favorite topics because I think that there's nothing more empowering than the idea that you are responsible for all of your results, which means that you can change any result in your life. So, Arash, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm great, Mikey. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm excited to jump into today's episode, and I'd love for you to just jump in and talk about the power of responsibility to kick us off.
Well, when we take full responsibility, we take all our power back. And we have to understand extreme ownership is at the top of the list of responsibility. And the truth is, you are absolutely, so am I, responsible for all the results you're getting. So I want you to look at your results right now. You are responsible for those, good, bad, or indifferent. When you take that responsibility and understand that you're the only problem you're ever going to have and you're the only solution you're ever going to have, you take power back to transform your life. Now, I want you to think about this. When we look at our results from a neutral place, who created those? They didn't happen by accident. They always come from our level of thinking. We don't get into action unless we do the thinking first. That's why we have to really get good at thinking in a certain way. And when you do take responsibility and operate with the attitude of extreme ownership, because it is an attitude, your actions are going to change. You will really own all your responsibilities. You'll say, oh, I was negotiating with myself. No, I'm not going to do that anymore. And your results are going to dramatically change. But understand, the thing that we have the greatest responsibility to is how we think. I want everybody right now to look at your results, just from a neutral place. That is where you are, that is the home of where you're thinking. That's what you're attracting. And you cannot get results beyond your level of thinking. When we become responsible of that and say, listen, I am never going to speak into existence what I don't want, even though it's coming from the outside world, I'm not going to do it. Well, you're going to create discipline in your life. So not just a little bit of discipline. I mean, this will be the extreme discipline that's going to catapult you going forward.
Raj, I would say that responsibility is like the first domino in a stack, and it affects so many things. Whenever you take personal responsibility, all of a sudden your standard is raised. Your identity is a little bit better. Your decision-making is a little bit better. I feel like responsibility up levels all of these other things that we're talking about in so many episodes on this podcast. Would you agree with that? And why is that?
Well, if you look at great leaders, Mike, I want you to think about it. They always take responsibility for whatever problem that's going on in the organization. You'll know a great leader because they always are the first person to say, no, this was my fault, even if it wasn't. And they never take credit for the wins because they'd rather give it to somebody. That's understanding the responsibility of a leader. So when you take responsibility, you're 100% correct. What happens is you increase your self-esteem significantly, not a little bit. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You're saying, I'm the reason. And when you do that, now you can course correct. You can be flexible. You can identify, oh, this is why I got this result in a good way or a bad way, a good result or bad result, and say, if it's a good result, now I want to 10x that result. How do I do it? How can I think? Well, you're already thinking in a certain way, and you're going to let it propel you upward. Now, let's say, I don't want to project this on any of our listeners. Let's say I got a bad result, but I took responsibility for it. I said, I got lazy-minded. I wasn't practicing my processes. I wasn't doing the disciplines. I'd say, now I know why I got them. The results don't happen by accident. See, we want to look at the results. Most people dig their head in the sand. And that's why we have to know, what do we really want? If I don't get a good result, it's not like big deal. It's just one result. I can change that. But I always ask myself, am I 100% all in committed at my goal? Like, would my future self have this type of commitment? Well, if the answer is no, I take responsibility for that. I still got to build up. I got to build up to be in harmony with that future self. Do I have a goal that I really want, that I'm in love with? And I'll tell everybody this right now. And this is such a big statement if you get it. When you fall in love with an idea, that's what a goal is. When you fall in love with that idea and hold it on the screen of your mind without the distraction of any other idea, you're going to bring it into your life. See, what we have to do is take responsibility of not sending out double binding messages. When we're sending double binding messages, the idea we're planting in our subconscious mind is what we don't want. And we say, no, I have a goal, but I'm thinking exactly opposite. Well, we have to take responsibility. I got to stop this crap. I'm done with the double binding messages. I can never outperform my level of thinking. So a double binding message is the weakest version of me. I'm just letting the outside control me. Now you take the opposite. You say, I am really going to take this serious. And I know now that I'm responsible for everything I'm getting, that I'm going to fall in love with that idea and I'm going to plant it in my heart. Your heart is your subconscious mind. And you're not just going to plant it once. You're going to plant it over and over and over again. And when you do that, it's going to control your vibration. The idea is going to start using you. And the result is going to happen. And you're going to know whether you planted it in your heart properly, what you want or what you don't want, by your attitude. It'll tell you by your actions. Your actions will tell you. You'll be doing different actions. You'll be doing bolder actions. You'll be doing your actions in a much more confident way. You're going to have this different swagger to you. And that's how you'll be able to observe yourself.
Raj, is responsibility overarching? Meaning, is someone always either taking responsibility or not taking responsibility? Or could they be taking responsibility with their health, but they're a complete victim with their work or with their family? Do you see what I'm asking here?
Yeah. I mean, that's really called our programming. So if somebody has great health or great financial life, that's easy to them. That's part of their program. There may be another area they're like, listen, I start, stop. I'm sick of starting and stopping. And when they make that irrevocable, committed decision mixed with discipline, this is what I'm doing no matter what, now they're going to change the game. But there's things that for you and I, they come natural. Like I could work all day long. I don't care. Like I love working, like I want to build bigger ideas. That's easy for me. There's other areas that I don't want to do. You get a nail and a hammer in my hand. God bless all of you. Run. I mean, run. Like I'm telling you, like I don't want that, and I'm not going to take responsibility because that's not something I want to become great at. But I will tell you, so we all have different levels. We want to look at our goal. What do we want more than anything else? And we want to take responsibility that I'm going to think, feel, and act and become that person. That's the responsibility. That's when you make that decision, but you back it up with, this is what I'm doing no matter what. But the key here is we don't want to keep the goal in the wanting state. That still states that I don't have it. We want to turn it into a desire. Desire is where you know that you know that you know. And you'll know when you have a desire, like I said, because everything around you is effortless. You have so much energy. If you're depleted with energy right now listening to this, you don't have a desire. I promise you. You may have a desire, just be desiring what you don't want, not what you want.
And I was about to ask you, with responsibility, are there degrees of responsibility? And is this something that you can get 1% better at, just like you're getting 1% better every day is what we challenge our clients to do? Can you become 1% more responsible every day? Like, is there always a next level to responsibility?
Yeah, for sure there is. Like what your attitude towards responsibility today will increase in 30 days if you're focused on it. Anything we focus on expands or grows, and you'll be able to measure it and look back and say, I was blaming that situation. I thought I was responsible, but I wasn't. And you'll know it right away. So as you put a strong intent on responsibility every day for the next 30 days, you're going to be so much better at it in 30 days. But you know what happens? Your whole life will start to change with responsibility. There's only two types of people. I've said this many times. There's either victims or leaders. There's no in between. And the victim is always blaming something else, somebody else. It's not the right time. Those are all excuses, but we got to understand what excuses are. Our excuses reflect our deepest fears. That's why we make excuses. What we want to do, the leader is like, this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to figure it out. I know I dropped because you're going to drop. You're going to fail. But your failures are going to be so small compared to your wins.
And what would you say grows responsibility? Is it your mindset? Is it awareness, perspective, action? What is it specifically that increases your responsibility?
I mean, you're not going to love this answer, but it's all of the above. You know, it first starts in awareness. Like, you have to have an intent that you make it part of your awareness. And you know it's a part of your awareness where it's harder not to do than to do. Awareness is your automatic thinking. Just like I use this story all the time. Awareness is making conscious contact with something. When we were young, we learned how to ride a bike. And, you know, when my kids started getting to that age, guess what? I still knew how to ride a bike. And I hadn't ridden a bike in 20 years. And I never lost that. Well, you never lose anything in your awareness. We want to put responsibility. I want to put it right now and plant it in your heart how important it is. And when you do that, I'm telling you, it'll change the game.
Raj, I think it would be easy for us to assume that everybody is going to know right off the bat if they are responsible or not taking responsibility. But we've been talking about this and in the vicinity of it for more than 15 years now. So if for someone who these might be brand new concepts, what is a good way for them to do a self-assessment to see, okay, am I really taking responsibility in my life?
Watch your language and watch your behaviors. Your behaviors always reflect your identity. Watch your commitments. Your commitments always reflect your identity. And so when you start watching the behaviors, you're studying yourself, and then you're going to know. And part of studying you is your language. So when you study your language, you'll say, oh, I'm a victim or I'm a leader. I'm speaking into existence what I want or what I don't want. I keep saying I want to create a wealth consciousness, yet I keep looking for what's missing all the time in my life. They're going to know right away. I guarantee this week, everybody listening to this is going to be super on their P's and Q's about not blaming anything. This is just what happened, especially if you get emotionally involved in this lesson. See, a lot of people don't understand learning. Learning is about implementation, not gathering information. And when you're learning, you get intellectually involved. You say, oh, I really want to master this, right? You're intellectually involved. Then you get emotionally involved, but then you step out and act. You only learn when the change of result. And it may be 30, 45 days for somebody. They go up, down with responsibility, but it's going to teeter in their favor. They may be 30 days up, 15 days down. You know, then another 45 days, it's going to be 35 days of taking responsibility. Then it's going to be a part of your identity.
You know, Raj, the word responsibility, I feel like is a big word or maybe a daunting word. I remember as a teenager, hearing my mom say, be responsible. And I'd always be like, okay. But now the idea of being responsible, I love the idea of being responsible because I feel like whenever I'm responsible, I'm in control. And when you're giving up your responsibility, you're out of control. You have no control. The outside is controlling you. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, I love the term that we use with our clients, which is extreme ownership.
Yes. It's
not just ownership, it's extreme.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I love those two words together because when you are taking ownership for everything, you are in your power. When you're giving it away, you're giving all your power away. And if you watch people who need to be liked, well, God, that sounds exhausting. I mean, like, but I was there. That's why I know, like, I can go back there when I needed to be liked, right? And when I took ownership, like, that wasn't what I was going to do anymore. It changed my whole self-esteem. Mm-hmm. And so when we take ownership, it's this power we take. And the responsibility comes with that ownership. And I promise you now, everything's in your control. when I say, my mentor taught me this so many times. He said, you're the only problem, the only solution you're ever going to have. And when I really accepted that idea, it changed the game for me. So I stopped blaming everybody. And when you stop blaming everybody for your life and you take ownership, your life gets a lot better.
So good. All right, Raj, give us an action step for this week.
I want everybody to, for the next 7 days, if you do it for 7 days, you're going to do it for 70 days. But for the next 7 days, I want you to be responsible for everything you're doing, and watch when you're not, what the story behind it is. Watch where you're giving your power. So look at the trigger, because the trigger always tells us a deeper fear or a story. And this is why a lot of people shrink. And this is where we got to do hard better. So it's so easy to say, oh, it was their fault. Oh, that person didn't show up. Take everything that is your responsibility and watch how much it'll change. I mean, your results will dramatically change from this.
Raj, this is so good. I have loved this episode. I hope all of you listening have loved it as well. In fact, if you have, please leave us a review, leave us a rating, subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to the podcast at, and of course, share this with your friends and family. That helps us reach more people. I also want to announce that Raj's first book is coming out on March 12th, and it is available for pre-order on Amazon right now. So it's called The World-Class Wealth Mindset, and you can go to Amazon.com and pre-order it. It is officially available on March 12th. So thank you all so much. Raj, thank you, and we'll see you next week for another episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode of 7 Figure Standard. We hope you found the insights and strategies helpful on your journey to success. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform to help us reach more people like you. To learn more about Arash and Mikey and how Voss Coach & Co. can help you achieve your goals and reach new levels of success, visit vosscoachandco.com. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of 7 Figure Standard.